Music can have a huge impact on film. It can really guide an audience through a story, I think.
I think the role of music in a film is often to enhance moments and actually sometimes supply moments with emotion that might not otherwise be there.
I mean, music for me particularly is such an important part of the whole experience for the audience. It's the soul of the film, ultimately.
You feel when you enter these schools, you're being enveloped and taken to another world.
We don't hear the music on the set. You hear the beat of your own heart. And so when you see the film back, it takes you on an emotional journey that you might not have imagined at all when you're playing the scene.
Composing an orchestra score for a film is a labor-intensive process. I mean, if we could ever figure out how many notes the orchestra, actual notes they play in a minute of very active music. I've never counted it up, but it would probably be in the thousands just for 1 minute of music.
When you're writing a score, you're acutely aware of what's driving this scene. The score, there'll be sound effects.
You're selling worlds that are totally illusionary, you know. You have to have sound effects to make it feel like what you're watching is actually real.
The sound effects, it drags them in, it changes the perception of what they're seeing, how they're viewing the film, how the story is unfolding to them.
The sound effects compete for our attention. Dialogue competes very much for our attention. The wedding of the dialogue and the sound effects with music,
It brings us into a world of magic for a colourful piece like Harry Potter.
The Harry Potter films take in such a wide scope of emotion and situations and all these amazing, colourful characters. You know, I think the music of the films plays a huge part in kind of bringing all that out of the screen.
These films demand a composer who is sort of happy in a big landscape. You look for someone who has the best possible take on the requirement of that particular book or film.
And I think that each of the composers have brought different qualities and have helped make these films what they are.
Normally, my entry into the post-production process of filmmaking comes when a film has been pretty much edited and I can see it. I would prefer not to read a script because one forms all kinds of visual preconceptions. You really have to look at a film and say, how should that film sound? What kind of noise should it make? What are its textures?
So what I normally do is I tend to just concentrate on character study, studying the performances and studying the characters. My background is writing music for the theatre and also performing in theatre.
Join in, right?
If I get the opportunity to visit the set and see actors perform, I really grab the chance.
And he's got all the beat for us.
My mother was a writer, so I just love stories. I think the story is essential to me, absolutely. So if I take anything on, I must see the script. I would take a script and I'll absorb it like kind of blotting paper and forget that I read it in a sense, and then it becomes part of me, and then it becomes part of the music, and with any luck, the process, it all begins to work.
In the beginning phases of scoring the film, we want to try to, particularly a film like this, we want to try to create themes that will represent melodic identification, if you like, of certain characters or places.
Rather like opera, you know, tiny motifs that can represent a character very quickly.
first Harry Potter film was such a rich opportunity for multiple themes. The theme for Harry.
Thanks.
Anytime.
There was also a theme for Diagon Alley. And a theme for the Hogwarts School. Coming back to it for Chamber of Secrets, Gilderoy Lockhart. He has a silly little piece that accompanies his action.
Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award.
Both for his lectures and then in more dramatic form for the dueling that he does. That music is almost kind of like an old-fashioned tango. You would expect a fop like this might move to the rhythms of a tango and give him that kind of slightly exaggerated, inflated posture that a tango dancer would assume. The third Harry Potter film, there were a few off-the-edges experiments in that thing. Aunt Marge's walls. We just thought a sort of grand papa, blown-up waltz might be fun to do.
Action!
When you think of a waltz, we think of that as being light and floating.
Oh, Bernard!
This was a waltz that is a bit leaden. Fun to do.
For the character of Voldemort in Goblet of Fire, Patrick decided to write this quite menacing, very simple motif. It's like a scale that just ascends.
It's like music from hell, because he is a character from hell. He's the unmentionable. It's like opening something up, you know, and also what it's saying is there's more. There's a feeling, hopefully, in that of
requires a lot of careful editing and a lot of work.
We did a lot of work on Umbridge. But I'd read all about Umbridge way before I had to do this, so I knew just how nasty she was. What I wanted to do in her theme was to make it irritating. I mean, really irritating. Interfering all the time, just getting into everything. Spoiling things. I mean, it's quite a fun theme, but I wanted it to be that sort of thing that you can't get out of your head and you wish you blooming well could. The Luna piece is just about the strangeness of it all and of her. So the music was very wispy in the sense of trying to make it almost paper-thin transparent so that almost nothing was happening, but just these tiny things were happening. And if you listen to the Half-Blood Prince, in some of the darker themes, I've just gone for completely spooky, nightmarish sort of music. And actually almost gone out of my own comfort zone.
Typically, a composer will see the film first and then take measurements from the film and decide where the music will go and where it won't go. And that's the normal process. That was the case of Harry Potter, except for one significant deviation. Before I had seen a frame of film, I got a call from Warner Brothers saying that they were going to do a promotional reel of Harry Potter for which they had no music, and would I create some theme, some music that might be used. So what I wrote was what became Hedwig's theme, which I wrote sight unseen, and when people at Warner's and others heard the music, they felt that it was perfectly appropriate for the film, I was happy to say.
I remember first hearing Hedwig's theme. It was so clear that this was it, and it felt so appropriate. It was sufficiently majestic and magical.
His agents told me that John wanted me to get a copy of the music ahead of time, and that's kind of a little flag that goes up, you know, that says, it's going to be something I need to look at. If he says, I think you should take a look at the music, you better look at the music ahead of time.
Because nobody in the orchestra is sent the music in advance, normally for film sessions. And when the violins first turned up to the recording session, and then they saw the Hedwig's theme, oh no, notes black, you know, lots and lots of notes. And suddenly there was a flurry of everybody sort of practicing very hard.
Well, the opening has this gossamer celeste, and the celeste is a little keyboard instrument that makes pearly sounds. It's like a piano, but it's even more magical than that, somewhere between a piano and a glockenspiel. It's able to play very quick notes also all across the keyboard very quickly, as a pianist would do, or a violinist. It seemed to me a good tool to create this ambiance of the preparation of flight, or the magical ability to escape gravity into flight velocity, as a bird would do.
John, he didn't talk about it a lot ahead of time. Usually on the recording date, he'll say, well, here's what I was thinking.
Randy, you know at the end where you have the tune along with the celeste 127?
Right.
Slow it with me.
Okay.
As though all of that drama hadn't happened.
But pretty much the music is self-explanatory, you know. So it says synth Celeste, and it says solo, and it says Mysterioso. So he doesn't want it on the real Celeste, and there are real Celestes around, and they're wonderful instruments, but he wanted something a little different, but on a synthesizer. Here's just a Celeste sample. I wanted something to add to the Celeste sample that would be a little more, it would make it a little more ringy and mysterious, and but still keeping kind of the purity of a Celeste sound. The instrument I was using was a DX7, which was an early FM synthesizer. The basic place it starts is it gives you a sine wave. Because a sine wave is a very warm sound, doesn't have any overtones on it. Now that doesn't sound very good for... Might sound like early video game or something. So I blend this with the original Celeste sound. So I hear a little bit of that original bell sound, the steel bar sound of the Celeste, but with this sine wave. And that's basically the Harry Potter Hedwig's theme sound.
Do not touch that!
My role on a film is to balance the music and the effects. And in general terms, sound can give so much to a scene. I could film you against a white wall, and depending on the sound that I add to that scene, I could put you in a completely different place. I could put you on a different planet, in a different country, or a different time of day. And on something like Harry Potter, of course, there's a whole world to be created.
The process usually begins with reading the book. There are invariably always descriptions of sound, of how things sound in J.K.'s books. Given that everything starts from that point, it makes sense that sound should also.
You have to read the books, and we examine those in detail at times. But the books and the films are not the same thing.
There are kind of several layers of it. There are the kind of the reality sounds, like doors opening and closing, trains, cars. And then you move on to the stuff that, well, we don't know what it sounds like because it doesn't exist, like what happens when someone waves a wand, or what happens when a Patronus appears.
So there's always a need to have a kind of two-tiered sound effects collection. So you've got this sort of quirky collection of weird things that don't work properly, or they're a bit squeaky, or they make very peculiar noises. And then there's this sort of other world, which is the Muggle world, which is what everybody hears.
We're not in Hogwarts or the world of magic, we're in a studio in Watford. So you have to recreate, using layers of sound, the creative image that the director is trying to get across in the film.
We didn't want to rely on conventional ways of telling a story that is told with the sound. We weren't interested in swooshes and whooshes unless the physics of the moving object actually demanded that that be there. So the trick was, how do you make it sound magical but not sound like anything they've necessarily heard before?
A lot of sound checks, they'll have a lot of kind of synthesized sounds and a lot of artificial, just purely artificial sounds made by a computer. But we tend to stick a lot more to organic sounds.
It's about rooting what you do in some sort of reality, so there's an element of truth to it somewhere. In a film like Harry Potter, you need to make the viewer believe that what they're seeing could actually exist.
The first film, the Quidditch match, they didn't really want to use jet whooshes or anything like that, anything that was mechanical. We have to try and find something else that gives a feeling of movement and power. So we got a load of cat litter. And we'd set some microphones up and then just whoosh their hands up and down it. And so you get whoosh kind of sounds.
There's the apparating. That's just utter chaos. Pig sounds. We had deers. Because the visual is doing such a violent shift, you have to make something that is going to shock people as much as that.
And so the philosophy that we all try and maintain is recording your own sounds as much as you possibly can.
95% of what we source is recorded for the film, you know, so as individual, you won't hear it in any other film.
And that's something that we've all embraced. We've all gone out and bought bits of recording kit so that we can get whatever we can, whenever we can, wherever we can. Go and record it, put it into the scene.
And then you've got ingredients that are fresh, original, they're never been used on another movie. And I think all my holidays have been ruined by me going out and recording strange insects, dogs, animals, bikes, cars, anything that's different, interesting, new, fresh. I have to go and record it.
Stay in formation, everyone. Don't break ranks if one of us is killed.
Coming into Porto, hitting big scenes is very important. The flight down the river, it took ages, but it was so important to get that scene, have that lift. Action music, that sort of thing. It's a pivotal part of the film.
In Harry Potter, sometimes the music is directly amplifying what you're seeing in the picture.
Lenny.
To hopefully help amp up the sense of excitement.
For the basilisk, the orchestra actually becomes part of the action in a way that dance music would in a ballet. Sword swipes are accentuated with brass and cymbals. When Harry delivers the blow, there's an orchestral chord of the death grip kind of chord from the orchestra to accompany this.
Very often other scenes are more subtle. The music maybe perhaps is asked to reflect the mysterious quality, but give an edge of maybe love or romance or anticipation or sadness.
It's been very important to me throughout the Harry Potter films that they are not just like every other fantasy film that's around. They're not just all action. There are some big emotional moments. And so for those moments of reflection and self-discovery or kind of teenage angst, it's important that, you know, it's important that the composers hit those moments as much as they do the action sequences.
That in itself is a different challenge, particularly for music, to try and sneak into what the characters are thinking rather than... You can turn an audience quite quickly, sonically, into feeling uncomfortable using sound. Quite often with Voldemort, we crept in low end and whispering and things like that well before you actually saw him. And you start hearing this sort of parcel tongue, and it sets the scene immediately.
You could hear a sort of hissing, kind of echoing sound. And it just really, really sort of pulled you in.
The sounds of the space quite often do a good job of giving you a sense of the character's personality.
Mrs. Umbridge comes in with plates with kittens all over them.
Good evening, Mr. Potter.
When everything was in order and she was happy, they were purring away and there was lovely sounds. And when things got slightly uneasy, the sounds of the kittens would change. And it was subtle, but it made a difference to her environment.
The first time the Dementors appear is in HP 3. And they always preceded their arrival by ice or freezing.
When the Dementors show up and the ground freezes, what I ended up doing was taking old school ice cube trays and recorded them opening with a lever. And it makes this very, very peculiar, subtle little sound.
So, you know, making things freeze creates a mood and an atmosphere.
Atmospheres sometimes on films don't tend to go a lot further than just air and wind. But on Potter's, atmospheres there play an enormous part in creating the world.
That's too... That's okay. Cats are not that funny. That is good. Donkey is good. I think in Harry Potter, sound is as important as music. And action! We tried to keep a lot of scenes without music, meaning that everything would rely in the source sounds. It was about how we would create the tension just through sound.
And when the night bus turns up, the music was not dominating at that point, so you get a chance to sort of add little quirks to the sound.
That scene is a very small and sort of unassuming scene in many ways. But right away, its possibilities were obvious. You hear the buzzing of the halogen street lamps. There's a little insistent zzz, a breeze, maybe distant traffic. So Harry's very isolated, he's alone, it feels cold, and its sound does all of that.
The squeaks and the roundabouts are all kind of slightly creepy fairground sounds, you know. It was all about suspense, you know, making the audience wonder what was happening, was Voldemort there or not.
And then you have this bubbly, fun vehicle coming in. It does take you through an emotional journey in a very quick space of time.
We were discussing what we were going to do with the night bus.
Welcome to the night bus.
And I said, well, what about if we go and we depart a little bit and we go a little acid jazz?
It's going to be a bumpy ride!
John is a terrific jazz pianist, somebody with a tremendous command of the vocabulary of jazz.
What did you say your name was again? I didn't.
And it was so much fun, the scoring of that. He had a big, huge brass band. The biggest brass band I ever seen in my life, playing all this music that is funny, is spooky. It's really bizarre, that piece of music.
John brought in saxophone. There was an accordion, so you get this wonderful squeezy noise when the night bus does this.
Mind your head.
When we recorded the music with the orchestra, I thought Alfonso would tear his hair out and say, "What is this crazy thing?" He loved it. It was the quintessential piece of silliness.
For the Quidditch World Cup scene,
It's the Irish!
Patrick came up with the idea of writing a kind of Irish jig because of one of the teams being Irish. So he wrote this very simple Irish fiddle tune. And we recorded the Irish fiddle line first, but not with one fiddle, obviously, it was all the violins of the London Symphony Orchestra.
As I said, don't be too wonderful, and do it without any vibrato or any kind of, make it dry, like real fiddlers do.
Then Patrick said, can we track it? Which means, can we get them all to record it again on top of what they'd previously recorded? So we had like another 30, 40 violins over the top of that, all playing this one sort of Irish jig line, which you'd normally hear with one violin. So the impact of that was quite amazing.
That was a great opportunity, to write a piece of...
Terrific! It's a marvellous rehearsal.
When we were going to establish the new year at Hogwarts, we have the idea of involving a choir. And we had the kids singing, and there are some toads that are doing like some of the rhythms. And we were thinking about what would be the text. And I said, well, there's the double trouble that is part of one of the witches' scene in Macbeth. And when I suggested that, John Williams, he read it, says immediately, okay, this is the one, this is it. And it was so extraordinary what he did that actually that became the tagline when they were promoting the film. In the poster is "Something wicked this way comes."
Double, double, toil and trouble, something wicked this way comes.
I remember particularly watching the trailer. That was at the beginning of it.
Sirius Black has escaped from Azkaban prison. He's a murderer.
I remember that being really kind of eerie and ominous and exciting and dark, and that really getting me excited to see it.
Something wicked this way comes.
You think it's quiet now? It's not normally like this.
Spade.
Take to 1450, take 3.
I'm recording the sound, whatever happens in front of the camera, dialogue mostly. We have to sort of elicit the cooperation of all the different departments. Start off with the costume, looking at the fabrics, making sure they don't rustle, making sure they've got places to hide radio mics. If their shoes are clumpy on the floor, for example, the scene in the courtroom, the floor is the wrong sound because it's wood, but it's supposed to be marble. So we have to try and eliminate the sound of the footsteps so that we can add the sound of footsteps on marble later on to kind of make the reality of the Potter world.
Cornelius, I implore you to see reason.
As with all stories, you want to hear what people are saying.
Do you like that, Hermione? It's a lovely colour on you there.
So understanding people and being very clear about the narrative through complex scenes is a quite difficult path to tread.
Yeah, we have a lot of noise to contend with, special effects, noisy cameras, lighting, all the usual stuff you get on a film set.
Background action!
Ron seems to be enjoying himself.
Apparently it's his lucky day.
It's a hard job, especially on a Harry Potter set, because there's usually so much going on. It's really hard to make sure that you get a clear reading of the lines.
Father and I are in the minister's box.
Don't boast, Draco.
And if you don't get a clear reading of the lines, you end up having to redo it in a studio later on.
I'm going to run you in from where we started the last loop, so you keep the kind of continuity of it, all right? ADR stands for Automated Dialogue Replacement.
It's something that 99.9% of directors loathe because what they get on the performance when they're shooting is what they want when they go back in and re-record the actor to deliver that line with the same passion and same conviction. It's very difficult.
Is the wipe in the right place for you, Dan? You seem to be going in a bit early.
The Harry Potter cast are very good at it. They've had to do it from a very early age.
So we're going to get a little shot of just quite exactly what bit we're doing.
That's the bit we need.
Right.
We do some strange things with them. If there's any fighting going on or running along, we'll have to recreate that in the theatre.
I'm going to need you to sound pretty out of breath. Right.
They'll run on the spot, and then they get a bit out of breath, and then they go into the lines and they do it like that. On Goblet of Fire, that was a particular challenge because it was such a big film. There was so much action in it.
Let's go!
You know, there's wind machines, there's huge crowds of people, and keeping them all quiet the whole time while actors are doing sort of delicate dialogue scenes is pretty difficult. We must have done 70% ADR, which is a lot of ADR for a film. There was underwater scenes.
Quite often you can do that with any number of the sound crew. Will just go, okay, I'll stick my head in the bath and record something. But Dan Radcliffe was right up for it. He said, no, I'll do it.
They got sort of a plastic crate and filled it up with water, and then they had an underwater microphone in there, and I stuck my head in and said the line. I had to say something like, but she's my friend too, and with a mouthful of water. It wasn't actually as hard as it looked. It was just a kind of very odd thing to have to do.
I've worked with a lot of actors who say, no, get somebody else to do it. But he comes in and he's just jumped straight into it.
But she's my friend too.
I think for any composer, actually, it's quite a lonely existence. You tend to sit in a room working on your own around the clock, and then suddenly you get to the recording sessions, and there's, certainly in the case of Harry Potter, there's 95 people sitting there. A normal size string section for a movie, I suppose, would be 8 cellos, maybe 6 even these days, 8 violas, 22 violins. But on Harry Potter we had 18 first violins, 18 second violins, 15 violas, 14 cellos, 10, 11 basses. It was massive. It was very exciting. And certainly for Harry Potter, it was the number of musicians that you need to support those kind of visuals and those images and certainly special effects.
If you have a really big orchestra, Abbey 1 is the biggest room you can get. It's got a lot of height, a lot of breadth to it. So the sound can really be rich, it can be dark, it can be expansive. It's a really wonderful studio for a big orchestral sound.
Abbey Road has a unique decay characteristic in the sound when you hit a note and stop, and just the reverberant vibrations that happen. I mean, it has a wonderful sound to it. There's all the history that goes along with Abbey Road and everything too. So however that plays into the mix, I don't know. You know, you can leave it up to the metaphysicians as to how that adds to the sound. I believe it does.
A recording studio can very much affect the sound of what's being recorded. Abbey Road has a very kind of traditional, almost like a concert hall orchestral sound. But actually, the music for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire was recorded at Air Lyndhurst Studios in Hampstead. It's a converted church. Air Lyndhurst was certainly right for Harry Potter. It works very well with strings. Patrick Doyle, on recording sessions, there aren't too many nerves. I think he still loves the idea of hearing his music for first time. And I think for any composer, actually, to hear your music being performed, it's always exciting.
If I'm enthusiastic, then you'll be enthusiastic, I think. And it's not as if I sort of deliberately do this. It's a sort of natural way I feel about it. I am very enthusiastic about the job. I love doing it.
It's working with live musicians that make it all worthwhile, and he always seems to revel in that.
Someone said, and I wish I knew who had said it, it's the biggest toy in the world. No matter how difficult the process is, the opportunity for an orchestra to play your music is a great privilege. And it really is. I never tire of it. Never tire of it.
The toughest challenge on Harry Potter is not to be the person who gets it wrong. There's always such a tension. There's always so much to be recorded in a short amount of time.
You have to, shoot from the hip, as they say, and think on your feet, and move very fast and change your ideas, be malleable. Actually, I wanted to actually be slurred. Could you slur that, please?
Pete, are you okay on the previous take for the first half?
Nick turned to me and say, Jeff, let's quickly write in some trombones, and you stand up on the stand in front of the orchestra and say, trombone 1, I want you to play an E for 2 bars, and then I want you to move to F. I want it to start piano and crescendo de mezzo forte and diminuendo. Trombone 2, you play this. We do it fast.
We have confirmed that 10 high security prisoners in the early hours of yesterday evening did escape.
There's so much weighing on the minutes and hours you're spending in the scoring session.
The magnitude of everything we do is so important to so many people, and that is quite scary, really. There's no way you can get around it.
Notorious mass murderer, Sirius Black.
It is just that important.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
So there's quite a lot of fear. When I was conducting the possession theme, I was shaking, and yet underneath it was an extraordinary feeling of just something wonderful happening that I hadn't experienced before. This very strange atmosphere developed in the room.
It is the most important part of the film, Harry. And for some reason it has a line which just completely moves me. It's a moving build to the point where he finds the love of his friends, which repulses Voldemort.
And people were slightly weeping as they were playing, and it had this just incredibly moving effect.
You're the weak one, and you'll never know love or friendship.
You couldn't do that on your own. You need all those musicians to feel it.
We may make 4 takes, 4 recordings of a certain scene. And the difference between take 2 and take 4 may be the difference between notes and magic. The performance of orchestras in films, when they are infused with some magic, like a great live performance, it will do something for the film, I firmly believe. Where if you turn the lights out and you don't see and turn the vocals off, all you hear is the orchestra, you realize you're hearing a world-class performance. Virtuosic performance. It supports these scenes, these characters and locations, the action, flying and so on. The orchestra is flying with them.
In Harry Potter, obviously, it was only something that was read through books. There was no music involved at all in J. Rowling's writing. So for the first few films, the score was incredibly important in kind of establishing Harry Potter as a series.
And what was great about John Williams in the early films is that he did what he does best, which is to give a story gravitas. It's take this seriously. Here is the music for you to take it seriously.
John Williams' score elevated the picture. You close your eyes and you listen to John's score, and you're transported to another place.
You just need to hear a few notes, and suddenly you're on the train going to Hogwarts, or you're on a boat going across the lake. And Nick and Patrick took that lead and ran with it.
The Hedwig theme I used because I think it's the most famous theme. Bum bum ba bum ba bee bum. That's John's theme. It's obviously nothing like the Cuban.
It's a 13 bar, is it?
I changed his chords, which I hope John didn't mind.
But rewriting John Williams is a dangerous thing to do because he does it best. And it's very, very hard to, to find another way in. But I think it's a great theme, so I just love working with it. And I have used it in very dramatic scenes. Just play a couple of phrases of it, and they'd often be at Harry Potter moments.
It's an interesting thing because John Williams wrote the piece of music, Hedwig's theme, about Hedwig and the joy of that the first time we see the owl fly. But I think over time it's sort of just been adopted in the minds of everybody who's watched the films as being Harry's theme.
When you hear the first few bars of Hedwig's theme, you instantly know it's going to be a Harry Potter trailer, or this is a Harry Potter film, or this is something related to Harry Potter. It's instantly recognisable, and it stayed all the way through.
It is a very, very powerful piece of music, and it has seemingly managed to capture the imaginations of all our audiences.
I think if an audience can leave the theatre and carry some of the musical themes with them, that's a plus. I think I get the most pleasure out of the fact that younger members of the audience, when they come to me and are able to sing the themes or play them on their instruments, are in the process of learning music from what they hear in the Harry Potter films. And when I can go out and play a concert with the orchestra in Boston or whatever city I do, and play Harry's theme, and the children, particularly young people, know the material, that's the kind of reward and success from this that, at least for me personally as a musician, is the most meaningful. That kind of connection with the young audience is open to us in the Harry Potter series.
He's back! Challenging and exhilarating times await Harry Potter as he returns to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is the eagerly awaited fourth film adaptation in J.K. Rowling's phenomenally successful series, and looks set to smash more box office records. Now, the world behind the scenes of the Harry Potter movies has always been a really closely guarded secret. Until now, that is. For the first time ever, the film's producers have invited TV cameras into that world. But not any old cameras, just ours. Which means that we get to go behind the scenes to see stuff that no one in the world has seen before. Which, if you ask me, is pretty exciting. So, this is where it all happens. Over there, the glamorous hotspot of Watford, and over here, Leavesden Studios. It doesn't look like much from the outside. Just a drafty old aircraft hangar with some peeling paint, the odd missing tile, but inside, it's a very different story. All sorts of weird and wonderful things are going on in there. There's flying broomsticks, there's fire-breathing dragons, there's mermaids, and of course, some hardcore magic. Believe it or not, this place is home to a global phenomenon. We'll be taking a look behind the magic of some of the most breathtaking and heart-stopping scenes in movie history. Following Daniel Radcliffe's grueling training for the most incredible underwater sequence, meeting the design and visual effects teams who bring these mind-blowing ideas to life, and finding out what happens when Harry comes face to face with a vicious fire-breathing dragon. But first, I need to get inside. Amongst all this fantastic set is the portkey. It's an object that transports wizards from one place to another at a pre-arranged time. This is the very thing. Now, of course, I'm not a wizard, so you're just going to have to excuse a bit of good old-fashioned TV trickery. I can't believe that worked. We're actually here. I'm actually inside the office of esteemed Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore. It is just awesome. Look at the paintings. Hedwig's here, keeping an eye on us, guarding the big man's desk. I've got to try his chair, haven't I? What do you reckon? Sit down. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I could get very used to this. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is another Potter epic. The story starts at the Quidditch World Cup, but the excitement of the occasion is destroyed when a group of Voldemort's most loyal and faithful supporters attack the event's campsite. This can only mean one thing. A state-of-the-art filtration system kept chlorine levels to a minimum, which was not only kinder on the actors' eyes, but ensured the water was crystal clear, something essential to the filmmakers. In fact, it was purer than mineral water. But that's not all. I understand that there was some sort of dry room or some place where the actors could go to save them having to come up to the surface.
Yeah, there was what we called an underwater habitat, which was a small Wendy house, for want of a better term, which had a little window in it and a little chimney where we could pump air down into it constantly, so we kept the air inside it monitored and pure.
It was sort of like a very low-budget version of the Big Brother diary room. And basically you go onto that and it's a dry place. And my instant reaction was one of complete, like, I became 5 years old again and I was going, but it's dry in here and it's
underwater
out there. Out.
He's going to be in the habitat 15. Leave the clock ticking.
Dan was such a sport, but of all the things he's done, I think this was the toughest. You know, at the end of each day, he was like, while he was doing that, he was studying for his GCSEs.
So how much time were you actually underwater?
Coincidentally, I do
see,
actually
that's
have,
how the magicians do it.
Yeah,
They
they just hide behind cushions and things.
Not real magic.
It's not very impressive. Yeah. This was actually the stunt department's Christmas present to me. Professional diver's daily record, inland, inshore.
So this is actually like a log?
Yeah, basically it's a logbook. You know, every time I go down, they have to write in what time I go down, what time I come up, and how long I spent underwater. In every day I could do up to 3 hours underwater. They counted up how long I actually spent underwater in total, and over the 3 weeks we were filming for about that. 41 hours and 38 minutes underwater.
41 hours and 38 minutes in 3 weeks?
Yeah, so very pleased with that.
2,483 minutes?
Yes.
That's awesome amount.
I'm really proud. I'm very, very proud of that.
But not everyone took to it like a fish to water. Stanislav Janevski, who plays Durmstrang champion Victor Krum, had to overcome his biggest fear.
Well, I used to have fear from deep water. Anything that I couldn't get my feet on. I had to learn how to go down, all the way down, and take everything off and put it back on and do different stunts and spins and everything. So
what was that like?
Well, at the beginning, it was extremely, I don't know, I was sort of scared.
I would imagine.
You know when you're breathing that oxygen underwater, and when you breathe it too fast and too heavily, you sort of
get lightheaded.
Yeah, you get lightheaded when you come out. So I got that once, and I just couldn't clear my mask at the beginning. I would just stop and then he refills, you know, he used to get refilled with water and then again and again. It was just difficult. But then once I trained in the shower, I said I must get used to water, you know, just...
So you stood in the shower with it on your head?
Yeah, I was training myself in the bath and everything. And then the next time I went in the tank, I just couldn't do it.
And Robert Pattinson, who plays Cedric Diggory, one of the Hogwarts champions, found the experience somewhat disorientating.
You can't see anything. All the divers who give you your breathing apparatus, they're all dressed in blue scuba suits, and so you're completely blinded by the chlorine. And so you're sort of floating around and doing your thing, and then someone says cut, and you get a thing shoved in your mouth from nowhere.
I don't actually have to do any acting because I'm actually not asleep, but I'm not quite with it until I come back up to the top. So I just have to splutter around a bit and, you know, swim to the edge. But apart from that, I don't really have to do that much.
In fact, the part of Hermione in this scene is largely played by a dummy.
We have 4 principal characters who spend most of their time in the sequence completely anchored underwater, so you can't use real people, therefore you have to make dummies. We have Hermione and Gabrielle here, who are silicon dummies designed with chambers inside them, so we can send them up and bring them down with buoyancy chambers, just like a submarine does. And their movements are controlled by what we call aquatronics, where we're pumping water through air rams inside them, so that there's nothing electronic under the water at all. We also had to put gills on Harry and flippers on Harry, webbed hands. That took a lot of practice. Whenever you do a makeup that's on an actor, you're dealing with a huge number of problems already. The minute you go underwater with that, you're into quite a whole set of problems, like actor with webbed hands has to be able to hold a regulator in his mouth, you know, to put in his mouth between takes, and the hand mustn't interfere with the safety aspect of him being able to do that. Likewise, if he's got gills on, they mustn't get damaged if he has to put a mask on and off. Flippers, how do you get him to the pool, out of the pool, you know, those things, they're all practical considerations, and then you have to persuade the actor to actually tolerate all of this.
Dan, that was really good. Let's do exactly the same as that last one, but this time, do not say the line, just think it.
In total, the team spent 6 weeks filming the underwater material, but that was only part of the story.
It was still, you know, a lot of work ahead of us, because all we were doing in the tank was swimming these people around. Of course, there was no mermaids in there was no Grindylows. But once we'd shot all this stuff, it was a matter of taking all this footage that had been shot and reimagining all the camera movements that we did, but putting it in the context of being 500 feet underwater, this huge kelp bed that Harry has to swim through, and then the ruins where he has to rescue the different victims.
Daniel was filmed sort of fighting nothing, largely, underwater. We then had to choreograph through all the shots, scores of Grindylows attacking him, wrapping their tentacles around him, try and make it look as though he had, you know, he was actually being pulled rather than he was just sort of feigning being pulled, and get some interaction on his skin and shadows and hair movement, and even at one point just made his glasses wobble around so that it felt as though he was being attacked. And we had a huge number of creatures. I mean, you know, even a few years ago, just creating one creature like this in a shot was hard work and was pushing the boundaries of what computers could do. And in some of these shots, we have hundreds of creatures, and to try and wrangle those in a scene and make them all work together to make the drama of the shot has been quite hard work, but we're very pleased with the results. Most of the shots we work on, he was shot in the blue screen tank, but there's a few shots where the performance was impossible for a human being to do, or sometimes where it was impossible to get the camera to do what the camera needed to do. And in those shots, we've created a computer-generated Daniel, or computer-generated other characters to put into the shots.
For example, I think this shot here.
This shot here, where he leaps out of the water, this sequence here, obviously that's physically impossible, short of firing him out of a cannon.
Thank you. Now, can we have quiet, please? So what we did was, we did 11 months, we did 1,900 setups, we did 1,200 slates, and we didn't kill one another.
Not yet.
And you're a lovely lot. and I will see you all again. And thank you very much indeed. God bless. Big kiss to you all.
Okay, that's it, the fourth film. They're finished shooting. They're moving on to the fifth already. They're all done. Well done, Dan. Oh, thank you very much. You must be well chuffed. It's sweating. Dan, what's it like when you finally finish shooting?
Everyone was kind of going, yeah, we're finishing, fantastic. And I was like, yeah, GCSEs, great.
Did you ever make anything happen? Anything you couldn't explain?
Expelliarm!
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
We discovered a sorcerer's stone and soared with a boy named Harry.
You're a great wizard.
We unlocked a chamber of secrets and opened up a world of magic. We sought out a prisoner from Azkaban and found the power of friends.
The Tri-Wizard Tournament.
Now we go inside the Goblet of Fire. It's a time for change. A chance for glory. And a return of evil.
The devils are inside the walls.
Harry Potter is flying onto the big screen to cast a new spell on movie audiences. We'll look back to the past as we search for clues to what's ahead. We'll look behind the scenes for a glimpse into how it's done. And we'll join Daniel, Rupert, and Emma sharing stories about growing up Harry, Ron, and Hermione as the adventure continues. Inside Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
I think we'll ever have just a quiet year at Hogwarts.
No.
In the spring of 2004, the sprawling complex of sound stages at Leavesden Studios came to life as director Mike Newell began production on J.K. Rowling's fourth adventure, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Hi, Harry.
I think of the 4 films is the biggest and greatest adventure.
It's the ultimate thriller, which is fantastic. It's so good.
It's got wonderful set-piece scenes. There are dragons, and there are underwater terrors, and there's Lost in the Maze.
Wicked.
The world is beginning to expand, and we get a real sense of just how large the Wizarding world is.
There are lots of new characters introduced.
And this strapping lad must be Cedric, am I right?
Above everything else, there is the appearance of the true villain for the first time, actually in his own self.
Harry in particular is growing up. In fact, Ron and Hermione too. And it's great, I have to say, to be around Dan, Rupert and Emma, seeing them grow, seeing their interests develop.
It was only a few short years ago that the 3 young stars were introduced to the world. 3 movies later, Dan, Rupert, and Emma have come a long way. Let's step back in time for a glimpse to where it all began.
There must have been hundreds of millions of people that all auditioned. And they chose me.
He's right here. He's right in the corner of frame.
It takes an actor of great depth and intelligence to play that role. And Dan Radcliffe is the only 11-year-old I've ever met who has that quality. And you just see it in his eyes. This is a really deep soul.
I was one of the biggest Harry Potter fans ever. And just to play Ron in the Harry Potter film has really been fantastic.
And with Dumbledore gone.
Good afternoon.
I was like, oh my God, I just stood there. Thought, no, this is all a dream, pinch me. And then it all started happening. Petrificus Totalis.
story a little scary sometimes?
We tested a lot of kids, and once we saw these three kids on screen together, we realized that there was an enormous amount of chemistry between them, and we thought, these are the kids.
Harry's first year gave way to a second, and the Chamber of Secrets revealed its deadly mystery. Harry and friends grew up, and so too did the stars of the movie.
I was watching Dan and Rupert standing there, and I thought they don't stand like wee boys anyway.
Really scared down here. It's fantastic. You guys just naturally ended up here, which is great.
Me, Rupert and Emma and some of the other kids have developed really strong bonds now as well.
What's going on? What's happening?
Second year became the third. Harry confronted the evils of Azkaban, and a new director took the helm.
Harry Potter, and together with his friends there, growing up. Go for it.
Yeah? Cool. We're the same age, practically, at the same time. So I think we're experiencing a lot of the same feelings, and so I think I can associate with them, really.
The relationship between the three kids has changed. They're much older, and that really shows in all sorts of different ways.
They're teenagers, and I think there's sort of an ongoing stress. A lot is put on the relationship between the three of them, and they really rely on each other.
Harry! Harry!
Now, in the fourth and biggest adventure to date, Harry and his friends are children no longer and facing greater challenges than ever before.
The stories are becoming more complex, darker, and the kids are at an age where they're taking on much more. They can comprehend a great deal.
The task is 2 days from now.
Really? I had no idea.
At over 730 pages, The Goblet of Fire was J.K. Rowling's longest book to date, big enough for 2 feature films. The filmmakers narrowed the focus of their narrative.
There was one side of the book which you could string the pearls on, which was the thriller side of the story.
What is it I'm seeing when I dream? What do they mean?
It's a nightmare come to life. Voldemort, the Dark Lord, who was cast down 13 years ago, has been revived by his dark followers.
You don't see him, but you see his hand. He's in a chair at the beginning. You just sense his presence in a big armchair.
There is a terrible, murderous plot, but you don't know what it is.
As if in warning, Harry's scar screams in pain.
And when I woke up, my scar was stinging.
All he knows is that his scar hurts like hell. And the scar and the hurting of the scar and the dreams that he has while the scar is troubling him, they form a kind of chain of stepping stones through the story.
What lies ahead are dark things. Voldemort, the Death Eaters, the world as it was 14 years ago. Those were not good times, and we're on the precipice of times again that could be like that.
Worse for Harry, the walls that have guarded him and the protectors who have seen him through are crumbling in the face of evil.
There is something that is getting to Harry, that is trying to get to Harry, that has infiltrated Hogwarts.
I think that whatever's happening, it's bigger than this. And I really think you should go to Dumbledore.
Harry's world's completely shaken because Dumbledore, for the first time we see him as an old man who's not at the height of his abilities anymore.
Mike said to me, this is a film in which Dumbledore is no longer in control. He gets frightened. He doesn't know what to do.
This can't go on, Albus. First the dark mark, now this.
What do you suggest, Minerva?
That's a big thing for Harry because it completely, as it would anyone, unsettles him, and so he kind of loses control of it.
With danger spiraling out of control and challenges beyond anything he's faced yet, Harry has to find the courage from within to see the adventure through.
Harry's a noble, spiritual warrior.
Mike Newell.
You're trying to go back. Oh, you bloody don't! Okay, there's got to be some physicality in it.
He is amongst the foremost directors of actors, and it's important for us to keep the kids challenged, to maintain the high standards that have been set by Chris Columbus and Alfonso Cuarón, and to build on that. And we thought that Mike Newell was the right person to do that.
And
Then all you do is that and that.
He's very, very English. He wears a waistcoat every day, which I just quite like because you don't see enough waistcoats anymore, really.
He combines a real professorial quality with that of a true British public school boy. It's in his blood, and I think he brings it out very authentically in this film.
I told Hermione to tell you, the Seamus told me.
In lots of ways, this is a classic English school story. All right, it's wizards and wands and magic and stuff like that, but it is nonetheless a classic English school story. And we're all brought up on those things. You know, I share all the same references. I don't even know I'm doing it.
But that was great!
He's just a real actor's director, and where I am now in terms of acting, I just want to learn as much as possible. And he gives very, very detailed notes, which is great because that's what I need.
He gives back so much energy, and instead of sitting there in his chair watching the monitor, he's out there and he's doing it and he's giving back energy to the actors, and I think he's great.
He's so funny, he's completely crazy.
Once in a while, it was really worth being a clown in front of those people, because there's no point in me being an authority figure. You don't get anything out of people that way.
He treated them very much as equals, but he also, he treated them as actors. He was the director, they were the actors, and he was treating them as partners in the process, but he was very much the taskmaster, and encouraging them, he saw in them what they could achieve and really elicited the very best from them.
Just have a look at this, all of you, because this is how it's roughly speaking supposed to work.
We talked a lot about how Harry is in this film and sort of the nature of his character and what he's going through and what that would make him feel. And so just through talking about him, we discovered things. So it really was good working with him, particularly from a kind of performance point of view.
Glance or two at Hagrid.
He's got a very inclusive notion of directing. He walks out the set in the morning and says, "This is what I imagine we're going to do today. This is what I'd like us to do today." I just talks you all through it. And then he goes off for a cup of tea, and then 10 minutes later we do our best to do it.
Is this your script?
Yeah.
Wow. I genuinely think he's brilliant. He's so creative. He's really passionate about making this the best film, and he won't settle for anything less.
Noel found inspiration in his young stars.
I found each of them funny, just because they were such kind of peppery and vinegary, and each of them has a very strong individual taste. I enjoyed that about them.
Nightmares and a burning scar pass like a bad dream with Harry's return to school. Within the safe boundaries of Hogwarts' magnificent walls, Harry has lived through his greatest adventures and happiest times. But still, there is foreboding.
In the last three films, Hogwarts has kind of been like a safe house because it's kind of been impenetrable. This one, the walls have been broken down, and he's not as safe as he used to be.
But for Daniel, Emma, and Rupert, the return to set after a brief hiatus between films was like homecoming.
It feels like the school term started. It's really nice, actually. You really do find that after being away, you miss people, and it's really nice to come back and see them again.
Because the films take so long to do, and because we come back within a few months to do the next one, it is kind of like everyone's been away for the summer, and somebody's left school, and somebody's got a car, and somebody's changed their hair color. It is like that.
Changes are also in store for the students at Hogwarts with the return of the Triwizard Tournament.
The Triwizard Tournament is an ancient magical tournament that's gone back a very long time.
The Triwizard Tournament hasn't come to Hogwarts for over 100 years due to a distressingly high death toll.
Joining Hogwarts in the tournament are rival schools of magic Beauxbaton of France and Durmstrang of Bulgaria.
When the Beauxbaton girls arrive, the Hogwarts boys are in a state of shock. They've never seen anything like this. These elegant, incredibly beautiful French girls walking down the hall is something that renders Ron in particular speechless. And I think we all remember that feeling.
These girls certainly know how to impress an English school by their entrance.
The men of Durmstrang are no less impressive.
They arrive fierce, cool, cold, male, in contrast to the distinct femininity of the Beauxbaton. And they're quite austere and intimidating.
If the competition was going to work, then the schools had to be very distinct. So the French school had to be more French than you could imagine a French school being. The Eastern European school had to be more kind of than you had ever imagined that they could be.
The Goblet of Fire will choose a single champion from each school who will face 3 magical tasks. Challenges so dangerous that wizards under 17 are forbidden to compete. For once, 14-year-old Harry can let someone else be the hero.
I think Harry's always yearning to forget his past, even though he saved so many people. He sort of wants the celebrity thing to end.
But other students are more than interested to take their stab at fame. The goblet calls forth its champions.
Who knows about the dragons forewarns Harry about the dragons.
Well, it's not really heads up. It's only one of the events. It's a game of 4 halves, you know. His main concern is that Harry survives. He doesn't care if Harry wins or not. I don't think. I think he just wants Harry to live.
Cut! All right, very good. One more, please.
Of course, with this task, living is very much up in the air.
Harry steps out into the arena and is immediately attacked by this dragon.
He can breathe fire like any dragon, but also that his tail can cut a building in two and come right forward in front of his head, kind of like a scorpion. Scary stuff.
It's a very good, savage creature. Of course, the dragon exists only in the distorted mind of some computer creator. But nonetheless, he's brilliant.
And jump!
It was very, very physical, which I enjoyed in some of the stunts. Some of the stunts were a bit scary, but fine.
Without the magical skills of his fellow champions, Harry relies on nerves. And the one skill that sets him apart from everyone else.
Wow! I see a 5-volt!
Harry's forced to conjure his broom, at which point the dragon manages to escape from the tether of the chain and flies off in pursuit of him.
The stunts became even more intense with the dragon chase far above the Triwizard Arena and into the rooftops of Hogwarts.
I was on a wire and I fell, I think, 40 feet. And quite very, very fast, actually. That was really, really terrifying. And I'm not afraid to admit that. That was really scary. Anyone would be scared, I'm convinced.
And then you get a much more mysterious task of the second one, which all takes place underwater, with certainly some pretty dangerous creatures that kind of sting you and pull at you.
So, champions, you may begin now!
The 4 champions have to dive into the water and swim deep, deep, deep to retrieve something that is most dear to them.
The actors perform their own stunts at a specially built, state-of-the-art production tank at Leavesden Studios, the largest tank in Europe.
I'm a terrible swimmer. I'm really, really bad. I cannot swim at all, but a lot of the stuff you'll see in the film, I'm proud to say, is actually me. All the shots where you see my face, that face hasn't been superimposed onto anyone.
Luckily, Dan rose to the challenge in the way that he generally does. Actually, he's absolutely fearless. Dan can swim better underwater than he can on the surface, in fact. For him especially, he bore the brunt of it as ever. And to act properly underwater, only being able to contain 30 seconds worth of breath in his lungs at any one time, and stay underwater sometimes, for an hour and a half or 2 hours at a time. It's just incredible.
Emma Watson also got her feet wet in the Leavesden tank.
I think it really does pay off because nothing they could do with special effects would look as real as it does when you're doing it on camera.
Champions, prepare yourselves.
The third task is an enchanted maze, a test of character.
Mr. Fields!
Can the champion hold on to himself when everything around him is lost?
And the last one really is creepy. It's like being in a cemetery at night and you get lost and you get freaked by being lost.
The maze is giant, 20, 30, 40 feet high, and it runs down paths which seem like they'll never end. And there is times within where you don't know if you'll ever get out.
It's such a scary concept, and there's smoke coming out of the hedges, and it's all very dark, and it's great, yeah.
The maze is not what it appears to be. It very much comes to life. The maze is a place where you are in danger of losing yourself.
We start to get lost. We change personalities. It becomes difficult to understand what's actually happening.
It's the isolation and the fear about not knowing what's behind the next corner, and you don't really care who's your friend. There's only one thing which you know is in there, which is the cup, and you know once you've got the cup, it ends.
It does remove you from the world that you know completely. It's like it reduces you to your animal components, and you become savage and inhuman.
In each of the tasks, Harry demonstrates the nerves, cunning, and character of a great wizard, and yet each one seems to carry him closer to Voldemort's plan.
Suddenly, the hand of Voldemort reaches out and snatches him. It's as if, a tumbler on a lock falls with each task. The door opens and there is the villain.
He's a very vulnerable, kind of fragile kind of hero who is incredibly afraid of things and of Voldemort. So he's not the all-conquering brave hero at all.
4 years of nearly non-stop film production on the Harry Potter set, and suddenly a strange new phenomenon settled in on the young cast. The seasoned veterans noted their younger cohorts striking cool new poses and exhibiting a new awareness of the opposite sex. Yes, the young cast members had become teenagers.
You noticed subtle little shifts in interests and attitudes and different ways of groupings, and then suddenly girls, the I hate girls, they always scream when you pull their hair, has suddenly been changed, the old hair gel's going in. And a lot more leaning on things in that very bored way, which I wish I could do, but I haven't been able to do since about 1964.
They're all shooting up, and their voices have got deeper and things. Deeper, certainly deeper than mine, I think. But it's wonderful, really.
I see them, their interest in music, their interest in the opposite sex, their interest in culture and art, in friends, in how they communicate with people. They communicate with us, with me, for example, as an equal.
Those changes can be seen on screen as well. Harry, Ron, and Hermione experience their own teen drama, particularly as they discover the opposite sex. This takes center stage with the Yule Ball.
The Yule Ball is first and foremost a dance.
The Yule Ball is sort of centerpiece of the film. It's when the various schools come together to dance and celebrate Christmas.
The Yule Ball is fast approaching, and Harry doesn't have a date.
Why do they have to travel in packs? How are you supposed to get one on their own to ask them?
In fact, given the choice between asking a girl to the Yule Ball and battling a Hungarian horntail, a second round with the fire-breathing dragon doesn't seem like such a hardship.
All these really cold looks from all the girls, it's just so reminiscent of real life. I think it's the truest scene we've had in the film so far. What annoys me about a lot of heroes in films is the way they do always endlessly get the girl. And they spend no time getting the girl. It just happens. Whereas in the film, Harry spends most of the film trying to get the girl. Harry! That's what's so great about him. He's not an archetypal hero.
For the first time, the opposite sex comes across his radar. And it's not easy. It never is easy, never will be easy. But this is their first experience of it.
Training process is that the little guys pick it up better than the big guys do. The big guys are more greedier, so when they grab something, they really want to hold on to it. And a lot of times we could be training them, they could be flying really great back and forth to us with the letters, and then one time they'll just pick it up, take it, dive into a corner, and try to shred it as quickly as they can.
And would you say that owls have been some of the hardest animals that you've had to?
These are the toughest. This has been the biggest challenge of my career.
Like you say, you spend months and months working on these tricks. When eventually they work, and they work on camera, that must be such a great feeling.
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling, yeah. Just this little retrieve right here is a wonderful feeling.
Contrary to popular belief, it's not the owls that are the bright birds on the block. That prize goes to the crows and the ravens.
Basically what we just taught them is the little pattern to stay on the chair, come over to a mark, stay. Now I'm just going to ask him to caw first, get his attention. Caw. Hit that chair. Hit it. Right there. Stay. Very good. Stay. Basically, if you're having a really bad day on set, you always take out your crow or your raven because they always make you look really good.
Not a moment ago.
Hagrid, Robbie Coltrane, spends a lot of time filming with the ravens and crows, but his closest companion is Fang.
With Fang, obviously, I had to spend some time with him so he got used to me. I noticed in your list of questions said, did it have to get used to your smell? So, listen, I had to get used to its smell, mate.
Fang, or Monkey as he's known, is trained by Jules.
How difficult has it been to train him up?
Monkey came to me from a rescue and he was absolutely starving when I got him. So he hadn't had a good start to life. So it took sort of 2 or 3 months of me just feeding him up, getting him fit, bonding with him, so he could trust me. And then I started training him.
We try as hard as we can to acquire animals from rescue homes. We find they're really the best animals. They're worldly. and they care about the attention more since they've been deprived.
And he's a Neapolitan Mastiff?
Yeah.
Did you know much about them?
I didn't know anything about them at all when the breed was cast, so I had to do a lot of research and learn that they are very strong-willed, obviously get very, very big, do not make a good family pet at all.
I mean, the hunting dogs originally, they got gnashes on them like sharks. You certainly wouldn't like to fall out with one.
Despite ferocious gnashes, Fang spends a lot of time in the films looking afraid.
So what we do for that is we teach them to back up. Hey, back, 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 head, stay, head, stay.
One of the most important things to learn is to stand on a mark.
We start off with a really big mark, and then once we've finished and are ready to go on set, they end up with a tiny piece of wood or a leaf or something like that.
Because they'll have a stage direction, won't they? They'll say Fang walks in, finds a way, stops.
Right.
Okay, like that's what it was saying in the script, and you've got to be able to get Fang to walk in, stop exactly where he needs to stop.
Go, Mark. Mark. Good. Good. Wow. Good boy.
Neapolitan Mastiffs can be quite protective, as Daniel found when filming The Chamber of Secrets.
One of the dogs, which was playing Fang, because there were about 4 or 5 dogs that play Fang, and one of them was called Bella, and this one got really protective of me. We were doing one of the scenes where with Aragold, the spider, and it was a huge animatronic spider, and every time it came up over the hill, the dog ran out in front of me, which was really cool, because I'm like, yes, I am the master of the dogs. But we had to do so many takes of it, because simply we wanted the dog to stay there, and we had to change dog. But it was
and he was just trying to protect
fantastic.
you.
Yeah, and I was like, no, don't change. I'm quite moved.
In The Goblet of Fire, there's a new owl on the block, and it belongs to Sirius Black. The director wanted a black owl, but they don't exist. So Gary and the team put their heads together and came up with a solution. They decided to change the colour of one of their owls.
We only do it once. We have to make sure they stay out of the rain because it does wash off. It's not a permanent dye.
It might be a non-toxic organic vegetable colouring, but does the owl mind?
No, she doesn't mind at all. No, because she's hand-raised and she's been with us for 4.5 years, she just gets accustomed to everything that we do.
It's like children that are given these little tattoos that you're able to put little vegetable dye tattoo. It has the same thing. It's the same methodology.
But would you believe it? It's not just the owls that need makeup. Join us after the break to find out who has their own line in eyeshadow. Make me look expensive, darling.
Take one. Action!
Hi, welcome back. We're behind the scenes at Leavesden Studios, where they're making the latest Harry Potter film, The Goblet of Fire. But the movie stars we're interested in are the furry kind. In this movie, Ron's got himself a new pet, an owl by the name of Pigwidgeon. We've managed to grab Rupert off set to introduce us to your new owl.
Yep, this is Ron's new pet, because on the third one, I lost Scabbers because he was the baddie, so yeah, this is my new pet.
We're all going to miss Scabbers because Ron and Scabbers were such great partners in crime.
Yeah, I did like Scabbers, yeah, he was quite fun to work with, yeah.
We had working Scabbers, which actually the running Scabbers, and we also had holding Scabbers, and that Ron actually held and spent time with during the day. In the third film, we taught him to run down a piano when Sirius Black and another one of the characters are trying to zap him with their wands. Scabbers was very easy to train. The hardest part about working with Scabbers was putting his makeup on. It looked more like Peter Pettigrew. So we put ear tufts on him, we had little tufts of hair made for him, we had tufts of hair made for his body. Those little pieces of hair that we actually shaved on his body to make him look like he was bald.
But Scabbers isn't the only animal to have a makeover. Jules, what's going on? Eyeshadow for a cat?
Well, obviously the cats in real life are very well groomed.
Yeah.
But the character Crookshanks has to look all manky.
To give Crookshanks that manky look, they mix a non-toxic cream with eyeshadow and smear it under his eyes.
And obviously when we put it on, we're very careful not to get too close to the eye.
Yeah.
But even if a little bit did go in his eye, it wouldn't be a problem.
But the makeover doesn't stop there. For this cat, it's the full body treatment.
This is fur that I collected from the cats when I groom them. I keep their undercoat, and we make little fur balls.
So we can quite clearly see these pads, but I imagine from afar you can't see it at all.
Yep, once he's finished, then he has just big clumps and he just looks like a manky street cat.
Okay.
Obviously, we can't keep them like that and wouldn't want to, so...
No, of course.
So we designed a way of...
And the cat's quite happy to have these things put into its fur?
He likes any attention, this one.
Even Scabbers enjoyed himself.
You know the Egyptians used to worship cats?
Yeah, along with the dung beetles.
He's looking suitably mankified, but let me tell you a little secret about Crookshanks. In fact, there isn't just one cat, there are 3.
They're all trained to do different things. Like one of them can climb up the curtains. Another one, if you put a mark down, will go to it. Another cat will. It's just a really good one for holding and doesn't mind being stroked and cuddled. And they've all got different things they can do.
Now, obviously, we're on a set in a minute, and you can hear people banging away in the background, and it must be a real distraction for the cats. And I would have thought it'd be much harder to train the cats up than it is the dogs, for example.
The key behind a really good film cat is a really bold cat and a really greedy cat, because then they sort of forget what's going on. But we very, very, very carefully introduce them to this kind of environment. It's so important that you do that slowly, because if they do get afraid, then you'll never get them working.
A trained cat. Hard to believe, but it's amazing what Jules can get them to do.
One of the most important things with all the animals is teaching them to stay. So if there's a lot of dialogue in the scene, they just have to stay in the place. So we start off with, hey, Crackerjack, sit, stay, good, lie down, good, stay, good, stay. Okay, go Mark, kitty, Mark, stay, good.
And is that, Jules, is that clicker? Is that the same sort of thing you use when you're training owls and dogs? And...
Yeah, I mean, I don't use the clicker for the dogs, but it's just a bridge that means good and the food's coming to you.
If someone wanted to teach their cat at home a trick, what would be a really simple trick? Because I have never known a cat to do anything it doesn't want to do. Dogs have owners, cats have staff, right?
Probably the easiest thing is sit, because you can just do that with the food. Crackerjack, sit, stay, good. Something else we teach them is a buzzer, so they hear a buzz, and that's where the food is. So if we want them to say to run up the stairs, then we'll have a trainer at the top of the stairs with a buzzer. That's pretty simple to teach them.
And when they get to the buzz, they get some food?
Yeah.
There's going to be kids all around the country with buzzers down the road, cats running around trying to find them. And
Is that Hermione Granger with Victor Crumb?
You're fraternising with the enemy.
The enemy?
Hogwarts has been chosen to host a legendary event, the Tri-Wizard Tournament. And now, the champion selection. Victor Crumb, Fleur Delcourt, Cedric Diggory, Harry Potter!
How did you do it? I didn't put my name in that cup. I don't want eternal glory. It's Mad-Eye Moody.
Avada Kedavra. The killing curse. Only one person is known to have survived it, and he's sitting in this room.
People die in this tournament. The devils are inside the walls. Something's coming closer. I can feel it. The Dark Lord shall rise again. Is it Voldemort?
Everything's going to change now, isn't it?
Expecto Patronum!
Explore the wizarding world like never before in the new Harry Potter pop-up book from the creators of the Harry Potter films. Featuring illustrations from Andrew Williamson, lead concept artist behind the Harry Potter films. From the cobbled streets of Diagon Alley to Dumbledore's desk, this collector's item brings the Harry Potter universe to life with exciting pop-up ingenuity full of magical locations. Stand back as the Howler delivers its message. Harry Potter! Sneak a peek inside a sealed package from the Ministry of Magic.
That's something you don't see every day.
Browse the shops of Diagon Alley, including the colorful Weasley's Wizard Wheezes and the incredible selection at Ollivander's Wand Shop. Travel to the hallowed grounds of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Visit Hagrid's hut and venture into the Forbidden Forest if you dare. Then flip the page for front row seats at the Tri-Wizard Tournament as the competition unfolds before your eyes. Dabble in the dark arts as Harry confronts Lord Voldemort. Bring the wizarding world to life this season with Harry Potter, a pop-up book. Packed with extras, lavish original art, and movie facts, this is one Harry Potter collectible you don't want to miss. Harry Potter Years 1 to 6 available on Blu-ray and DVD. Collect them all. Meet the real wizards who make the magic of Harry Potter come to life. Harry Potter Film Wizardry is the first book to unlock the secrets of the most successful movie franchise in history.
Wicked.
Let this immersive volume take you behind the screen as you discover never-before-seen concept art and photographs and stories from the stars themselves, including Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome each and every one of you.
Meet the architect who designed and built Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and learn how the moving staircases work. Want to make a purchase on Diagon Alley? You'll need wizardry money first to see how galleons, sickles, and newts are really minted. Excited to meet those magical creatures?
I must ask you not to scream.
Curious why Dementors glide the way they do? Wondering how hippogriffs fly? Let this book be your guide and delve headfirst into the world of Harry Potter. Learn how the movie's villains are created and witness one of the world's greatest heroes come of age.
Expecto Patronum!
I think it is clear that we can expect great things from you.
This collectible volume offers a look at the movie-making magic that fuels the phenomenon that is Harry Potter.
Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day. I will be.
Harry Potter Film Wizardry.
Harry Potter.
With foreword from Harry Potter stars Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson. And introduction by executive producer David Heyman. Includes 10 collectible bonus items from the films. Harry Potter Years 1 to 6 available on Blu-ray and DVD. Collect them all.